Welcome to Waking the Why, a podcast about uncovering the purpose behind life's crucible moments. Each episode, you'll hear from real people who turn their struggles into strength and their stories into light. If you're searching for meaning, walking through something hard, or just love stories that stir the soul, you're in the right place. Hello, friends, and welcome to Waking the Why, where we explore the purpose behind life's crucible moments. My name is Stacy, and our guest today is Aimee Stephens. Now, before we dive into Aimee's story, I need to share a story about Aimee. She may or may not remember this, but we met years ago when our daughters became friends, and I think it was about in 2013. I was suffering from an acute episode of what's called vestibular neuritis. Never experienced before in my life. I literally thought I was dying. I know that sounds really dramatic, but I really thought I was dying. So one night I'm laying in my bed doing my best to survive, and in walks Aimee. I'm gonna cry.
I don't remember this.
Yeah. In walks Aimee. Shows up with serving in the best way you knew how, right? You brought me your essential oils.
Okay, I love that.
You did.
I'm like, I probably didn't cook.
No, I just loved it because in that situation, I think so often we get like, I don't know how to help. So we don't do anything, but that's not what you did. You came to my house, you brought me what you knew, and you just showed me your love and friendship. And you guys, I love it. It was so amazing. So thank you so much.
I'm so glad you remember that.
Yes, are you kidding? I will tell you, Cody, my husband, he shares that story constantly. He talks about how important it is to show up in those moments.
Oh my God.
You are the example we share all the time.
That is so heartwarming. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
So Aimee, please share with everyone your story.
Yeah, so I'm really excited. So last year I published this book. And
so good.
When you said you read it, it honestly meant the world to me that you read this book. So kind of where this book came from. So it's called Turning Pain into Purpose. And I'll just kind of go back and describe why this book came about. So I grew up in a beautiful home, but I went through something as a child that my parents just didn't quite know how to navigate. I was sexually abused by my older brother, and they didn't quite know how to help me, so they actually didn't help me. Yeah. And so it just became this traumatic event that just got forgotten about. My parents told me to forget that it ever happened, and so I did. And fast forward 20 years of very toxic, abusive relationships, very toxic marriage. And then I had an experience that just really woke me up, and that got me into a therapist who completely changed my life. I spent over a year working with her day in, day out, working through my trauma, remembering my trauma, working through it, understanding it, seeing the patterns that had been formed in my life because of the trauma, and actually not even so much because of the trauma, but because it was so unhealed. And all these patterns were formed in my life. And so I spent so much time with her. It completely changed my life. I got out of this toxic marriage. I was able to heal. I met my second husband. We had a beautiful, beautiful marriage. But at that time, as I was going through this healing process, I remember just thinking, and I was about 32 at the time, but I remember thinking, one day I'm going to write a book about this. And it was like such a foreign dream. It was like one of those pipe dreams that you're like, yeah, one day I'm going to write a book. I'm not a writer. I think at one point I failed English. Like, I don't know.
Like, I'm not qualified.
I'm not qualified for this goal, but I'm still going to put it out there.
Right.
And it just was like floating out in the universe for a lot of years. And anyway, fast forward to 2018. I don't know what it was that year, but it was actually the very end of 2017. I decided it is time to do this. I've been telling myself by that point it had been about 9 years. I'm like, I've been telling myself for 9 years, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to start this book. So in 2018, I started the book, and I just had a goal, 100 words a day. I'm just going to get it on paper.
Yeah.
I spent 6 months writing.
Wow.
And I could not end the book. So I write the story, like the whole story, And then I get to this part where I'm like, okay, how do I end it?
Yeah.
For the life of me, I couldn't come up with an ending. I'm like, I don't know the ending to this story. Like, it's a good story, but I don't know, like, the ending. And I wrestled with it for about 3 months. And after about 3 months, I just thought, you know what? Maybe I'm not supposed to write a book.
Maybe your story's not.
Maybe this was a really good journal entry. We don't know. So I kind of just tucked it away, to be honest. I just wasn't sure. Like, I didn't know what to do with it at that point. I thought maybe one day I'll know what to do with this. Well, fast forward to the end of 2020, and I was just, life started to shift a little differently than I had planned, and I was going through my second divorce, and it was incredibly painful. It was very unexpected, very painful. Nothing bad had happened. We had just gotten to a point where we realized, like, some things need to get figured out, and we probably need to do this alone. Yeah. And so we very peacefully decided to end our marriage, but it was so painful. And as that marriage was coming to a very slow end, I remember one night, I'm going to cry when I talk about this because it's so special. I was just laying in bed, and I was just, like, feeling it. I was like, oh, it's happening. Like, my marriage is ending. Like, how is this happening, you know? And I was just laying there thinking, and these words came into my mind, exactly how I say them. You could never finish your book because this was the end of your story. Oh. And I just sat there with that, and I was like, wow. I didn't even know how to process it. I'm like, okay, this is the end of that story. And so I thought one day when I've healed enough from this pain, I'll start writing again.
Right.
And exactly 6 months after that day, or that month, I was here in St. George, and I just gone through so much healing and so much time alone. And I really just, when I moved here, I knew this is a solo journey for me right now. I'm going to heal. I'm going to just be alone and just take advantage of this time I have alone, and just spend a lot of time alone healing. And one morning I woke up and I was just in bed, just thinking, and that morning I thought, it's time to start working on my book. And so I got up, got my laptop out, and I was like, okay, where do I start? And so I pulled out the book from 2018.
Right.
And I thought, okay, I'm gonna read it. Let's see how far I got, and we'll go from there. And I read it, and I was like, oh, this is really bad. I was like, this actually isn't good at all. So I scrapped the whole thing.
Did you really?
But what was really cool about it was, and this is what I realized was so significant about me starting it in 2018. I remember back then I spent a lot of time remembering the details of my childhood.
Yeah.
And so what was actually so significant about having that original manuscript is I was able to keep all the facts, and I didn't have to go back and remember facts. Yeah. So that was actually very significant, because basically what I did is I took all the chapters, kept all the factual stuff in it, and thought, okay, now I'm actually going to sit down and write.
Wow.
And so that was on July 11th. Yep, July 11th of 2021.
Wow.
And I finished it on December 21st that year. So it took me, 5 months. It took me 5 months to basically write the whole thing from scratch, because I started from scratch. So
that is so amazing. So you chose the title, Turning Pain into Purpose.
Yeah.
Where does the title come from?
You know, that's a great question, because I actually had a different title. And yeah, I can't remember what it was.
I love how that works in life, right? You have a plan and it just...
I know. Yeah. I had a different title, and I was like, it just didn't flow. Yeah. It didn't flow. And as I was writing the book, there was something, I can't even remember where it came from, but there was something I was writing about where I was talking about how I had just taken all this pain I had gone through and just turned it into something meaningful. And I was like, wait a minute, turning? And so anyway, that's how the title came about. Yeah.
Oh my heck, it's absolutely amazing. Yeah. Well, I have read the book, everybody, and it is amazing. I mean, it's one thing to write the book. It's another thing to share it with the world.
Yes.
What drove you to do that?
That's a great question. So after I wrote it, I actually did not publish it for 2 years, because it was almost like writing it was so big that when I finished writing it, I was like, wow. And I didn't even know how personal it was going to get until I was actually in writing. And as I was writing this, I was like, this is the most vulnerable thing I have ever put out there.
Right.
And so I think I just needed to sit with it.
Yeah.
I also knew when I published it, I would have a lot of relationships to navigate through that.
Yep.
And so I think I just needed time to be ready. And as I thought about it, because I finished writing it in December, and my therapist, the one that just changed my whole life, and we had a beautiful relationship over the years. I had sent some of my kids to see her at times. Then when my marriage was ending and I was in so much pain, I went back to her and she helped me just navigate that whole thing. So she is the only person I gave a copy of it to. And so I printed up 2 copies, one for me, one for her, and I gave it to her for Christmas that year.
Wow.
And she read the whole thing. And she said to me, Aimee, you have to get this published. She said, this is going to change a lot of lives. And so I knew I needed to. I just had to, I had to be ready for it. Like, I had to just be like, I don't care what people think.
Right.
Because there's so much in here that was personal and difficult to share, and mistakes that I made that were like, oh, how do I share this,
Right.
But I knew I had to.
Right.
And so I just thought, I'll know when it's time to publish it. Well, in 2023, she died. She passed away. And when she passed away, I just knew, I was like, I promised her that I would share this book, and I will not end this year. So she died on Valentine's Day in 2023. And that year I was like, I will not end this year without working on getting this book published. And so towards the end of the year, as the end of the year started creeping, I was like, no, it's coming. And so that's when I was like, okay, how do I want to start this process? Yeah. And so I actually reached out to a good friend of mine who did a podcast down here in St. George.
Yeah.
Because I thought, I need to share my story before I share this book. And I thought, if I can maybe get on a couple podcasts, maybe that will kind of build up the courage. And that's exactly what it did, actually. Sharing it that way and getting so much amazing feedback from that podcast. I mean, I had so many people reach out to me after that podcast and just thank me for sharing my story and how much it meant to them. And I think that really was like, okay, it's time. And so that podcast came out in November, and this was published in March. And so it took me about 4 months to, finalize and edit it and stuff. And and then I published it in March. And then right after I got done publishing it, took a couple months off, and then I started working on the audio. Yeah. And so the audio came out last November.
Oh, it's amazing. And I 100% agree with the therapist that people need that. People need it. I really do believe that our life's experiences are first for us.
Yeah.
There's something for us to learn, grow, understand. Even, I think life's hard because we face afflictions and trials and tribulations, and some we bring on ourselves and some we don't.
Yeah.
Right? And you talk a lot about in your book about choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's, it's so hard.
It's so hard.
It is so hard. But I think our experiences are first for us. But then if we have the courage and make the choice to share with other people, the impact is amazing. And you are making a difference. I'm so grateful that you're willing to share that.
You.
So tell us a little bit about, so you've written the book, you're doing these podcasts. In what other ways are you sharing like your purpose, your why?
Yeah.
How does that show up for you?
That's such a great question. I think one of the biggest things for me is just how I live my life.
Yeah.
Because I actually had an opportunity to speak at an event a few weeks ago, and I was talking about this, and I just said, I believe our purpose isn't one thing. It's actually everything. It's how we show up for the people we love. Yeah. It's how we show up in our career. It's how we show up in life. It's how we show up for ourselves, choosing ourselves over other things, for our bodies, our health. I believe purpose is in everything we do. Yeah. And so that to me is like one of the biggest messages I like to share is like this book was a huge part of my purpose, but also what I'm going to do with it and what I'm going to do with my life. It's not just the book.
Right.
And I want to get it out more. I want to speak to more people. I want to share it with more people. But what drives me to do that is honestly just how I show up every day.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, you are a great example of showing up. Okay, one last thing. You have an audience here, right, of individuals that are interested in what you have to share. Some of them may be experiencing what you've experienced. Others may be experiencing pain, but not in the same way in which you did. What would you tell them as they're still in the middle? In the middle.
Yes, when you're in the middle.
In the middle.
Oh, the middle
is so hard.
It's so hard to be in the middle.
Yes.
It's so easy on the outside to look back, but when you're in the middle, I'm going to share one thing, and it was a moment that I will always remember when I was in the middle. And it was actually on my drive here to St. George when I moved here. Yeah. It was a very painful day, saying goodbye to him and my life up there, and putting me and my little girl and our two dogs in the car and driving down here. And anyway, I'm halfway down here, and she's asleep in the back seat. And I'm just thinking, like, total silence. Like, there's no noise, no music. And it's like I'm having a conversation with myself and God. And I'm like, okay, well, I never thought I would be here. And I remember just thinking in the car ride, like, I never thought I was going to be single again, but here I am. And I never thought I'd be alone again, but here I am. And so I don't know why. Like, I don't know why this is happening. I don't. But I know that one day I will. And so it was just this peaceful knowing, even though there was so much pain that I could feel, it was just this knowing of, like, I don't get it right now. Yeah. And I've been here before where I remember not understanding it. Mm-hmm. And I remember one day I would, and I did. And so I know it'll happen again. I know again, one day we'll understand why God wants me to be alone right now. Yeah. And I did.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story.
You're welcome.
It is making a difference.
Thank you.
My friends, you heard it from Aimee. You can turn your pain into purpose. And I love what she said, is that purpose isn't just one thing. It's everything. It's who we are and how we show up. So be like Aimee and show up for your friends and family and neighbors. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on Waking the Why. If today's story moved you, share it with someone who needs it. And don't forget, your why is worth waking up for.